Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex. And today we're hoping we don't make a mistake. You see, every time when I'm doing watercolours, I have this immediate difficulty that when I try to dip my watercolour brush into the water to clean it, very often I'll try to dunk it by accident in my cup of tea. Today I have a similar difficulty because today I'm talking about Diamine Earl Grey. You want to see it close? There you go. Earl Grey. And I've got to make sure I fill this in the pen and not this. Let's have a look at it. Okay, so Diamine's Earl Grey. What can we say about Earl Grey? Well, the first thing is, don't get it confused with that sort of Earl Grey, which today is that dark grey. I think Twinings have suddenly remembered that it's a really good idea to have a variety of different teas, just as Diamine know it's a good idea to have a variety of inks. I'm not paid by Twinings or anything, but I've just recently discovered this Twinings number 4 dark grey, which it says citrusy, malty and a hint of smoke. Quite right too. It's absolutely delicious. It's my go-to tea for the day now. Whereas what I tend to do is use loose leaf tea, and the one I've recently discovered, this is a new one folks, but this is now my breakfast tea of choice, plummy Earl Grey flavour tea. Wouldn't work for everyone because it's not a very strong tea, it's not dark like this. That is dark if you haven't got a very bright LED camera light shining on it from there. But this is, yes, it tastes of plummy. It's sweetish. It's basically just delicious. It's what I have for breakfast every single day. It's wonderful. So those are teas. Now I'm not going to fill them in my pen. This is for the pen. So let's have a look and see what it writes like, because it doesn't smell or taste as good as those. So first of all, let's see what this ink looks like on plain white Rhodia paper. Before I get my fingers covered in ink, I'll just clean that off a little bit because it was distinctly mucky. Now, I don't generally like grey inks. I have got some, just looking in my selection of inks here. So for example, I've got some Diamine Grey here, which as you can see from the dust on it, is very rarely used. Sorry about that, that was dropping a bullet. But this, I can easily imagine using. It's less of a reddish tinge looking at it. I'd say it's more of a purple-ish tone. Clearly, a very delightful colour on white paper. Let's see what it's like on Tomo River 68 GSM with slightly cream backing. So there you go, on white and on cream. I'd say on white it's more of a purplish background and it looks quite clear and distinct. On the Tomo River it actually seems to come across as more pastel, so it looks sort of greyish on the paper. It's really quite extraordinary stuff. No bleed through, no feathering, no nasty stuff whatsoever on either of these two papers. It does show through a little bit on the Rhodia, but only very, very slightly. That's not going to be a showstopper for anybody. And this is a TWSBI Go with a very wet nib, so yes, you can take from that what you want. So take away from this a really delightful, slightly different coloured ink. It's not a plain grey, it's definitely got reddish purple tints, which I think are lovely, I have to say. Let's see what it compares like. I was going to say it almost compares with a sepia, but it's not as red in tone. So we have the blacks here. Waterman black isn't too dissimilar, although looking at other colours, we've got Waterman black here, which isn't too dissimilar, but to my eye, if I just remove my glasses, the Waterman has more of a greenish tinge than a reddish. Looking at Diamine Standard Grey, it's a nice background colour, but it's just a bit dull. The Earl Grey has that little bit of extra colour in it, which makes it much more interesting, much more pleasant. Mont Blanc Permanent Grey, like Diamine Grey, except I'd say the Diamine Grey, the ordinary grey, is just a grey. There's no colours that I can see popping out. Mont Blanc's Permanent Grey seems to have a slightly greenish tinge to me. Earl Grey is definitely reddish rather than greenish. And I think that is all the greys that I have to display. Green, black, salamander, deep dark green. Yep. So I would say that is a delightful ink and one I am definitely going to be using. Really nice colour, good shading, good outlining. Very, very nice ink indeed. So there you go. A really rather wonderful addition to the Diamine range. It's got nice colour, it's got very good shading and really nice tone, it's got moderate outlining. If you want an ink that's just that little bit different and you're a bit bored with using blue all the time and really don't want to go to black, which is really the most boring choice you can go to, the two of them, this is one of those inks that really does work nicely, I think. It's just that little bit different, a little bit individualistic, but it's still a grey. It's still something you can use quite happily at work or in business environments. So, having said all that, I've got to say thanks yet again to my Patreon supporters because they make it possible for me to keep these videos going. And it's going to be changing soon too. I'm thinking of different things I can do for Patreon supporters. One thing I'm likely to do is to offer a bit of a mentoring type of scheme because I have some spare time and I know a lot of people are very keen to learn about writing. So it seems to make sense to me to offer my services as a bit of a mentor, helping people whether they're writing a book or writing a business proposal or anything like that. I think there ought to be some sort of facility on Patreon so that people can dip in and dip out, but support the channel and support me while I help them. Seems like a reasonable concept to me. So, if you're interested, do please go to the Patreon link, which is down the bottom. If you're keen on the idea of using your own fountain pens and communicating with people, then there's also an email address where if you write to it, I'll put you in touch with the Writerly Witterings Pen Pals Club, which involves people from all over the world. And before continuing, I'd like to say very best of luck. Our thoughts are with you, everyone in the Ukraine who is currently suffering so dramatically from the Russian invasion. Not a nice situation, and my friends in Ukraine, best of luck to you all. Anyway, thanks a lot for watching. If you'd like to support the channel, you can go and hit the subscribe button and then do the bell so you're notified about new videos coming out, and like it and all those good things. And apart from that, keep safe, all of you. Let's hope that the trouble with Russia is soon over and we don't get any escalation. And in the meantime, hopefully I'll see you in a week's time, God willing. Take care, folks. Cheers.